For the first time in history, the Hubble Space Telescope captured a high-definition image of 3I Atlas, an interstellar object that has been streaking through our solar system. The object, which was first detected in 2025, had already piqued interest due to its unusual trajectory, but this moment, an extraordinary alignment between Earth, 3I Atlas, and the Sun took things to a whole new level. For a brief moment, Earth passed almost perfectly between the interstellar visitor and the Sun, offering an unprecedented view of this enigmatic object. What was revealed in that image would challenge the very core of our understanding of interstellar objects. The comet's jets of gas and dust, typically chaotic and erratic, were found to have an unnatural symmetry, almost as if they were being guided by some unseen force. The object's anti-tail, the cloud of dust and gas pushed away by the sun's radiation, was directed in the opposite direction than expected, raising further questions about its behavior. Even more astonishing, 3I Atlas displayed a 16-hour brightness cycle, an eerie regularity that seemed more akin to a machine's operation than the behavior of a natural object. What exactly is 3I Atlas? Is it a comet, as initially thought, or is it something far more extraordinary? The recent Hubble capture of the object has triggered a cascade of questions that have captivated the scientific world. Some researchers, including prominent astrophysicist Avi Loeb, are now suggesting that this object could be something far beyond a mere comet. The evidence is mounting that 3I Atlas may not be a natural object at all, but rather a technological artifact, possibly sent by an extraterrestrial civilization. As the world digests these findings, one question echoes in the minds of all who observe. Could this be the first piece of evidence we've found of extraterrestrial technology? The Hubble image of 3I Atlas revealed an array of strange and puzzling features, unlike anything ever observed in a comet or asteroid. The jets of material coming from the object were symmetrical in a way that defied the irregular patterns typical of outgassing comets. Comets, which are icy bodies from the far reaches of the solar system, usually eject gas and dust in random directions as they approach the sun. This randomness is the result of solar radiation causing volatile compounds in the comet to sublimate, creating a cloud of gas and dust that forms a tail. In the case of 3I Atlas, however, the jets were so symmetrical that they appeared to be engineered, as if the object was equipped with some form of propulsion system designed to propel it with purpose and precision.
This symmetry was no small detail. It was a feature that immediately caught the attention of Avi Loeb, a professor of astrophysics at Harvard University, who had long been studying the peculiarities of interstellar objects like Oumuamua, another interstellar visitor. Loeb had previously suggested that Oumuamua's strange behavior, its rapid speed, its shape, and its unexpected movements could point to the possibility of alien technology. Now, with 3I Atlas, Loeb found himself grappling with even more striking anomalies. One of the most perplexing discoveries that emerged from Hubble's observations was the anti-tail of 3I Atlas, a phenomenon that further defied the established laws of cometary behavior. In the vast expanse of space, comets are well known for their distinctive tails, which form as they approach the sun. When a comet gets close to the heat and radiation of the sun, volatile materials in the nucleus of the comet begin to sublimate, transforming from solid ice into gas. This gas, along with dust particles, is then pushed away from the sun by the pressure of sunlight, creating a characteristic tail that trails behind the object as it moves through space. This behavior, a fundamental feature of cometary physics, is well understood and has been observed countless times. However, 3I Atlas exhibited an anti-tail, a phenomenon where the tail was oriented towards the sun rather than away from it. This was a feature that simply didn't fit with the way comets were supposed to behave. The anti-tail, which is the opposite of the normal cometary tail, baffled astronomers and immediately stood out as an anomaly. If 3I Atlas were a typical comet, it would be emitting gas and dust away from the sun as it passed through the solar system, with the tail forming in the opposite direction of the sun's gravitational pull. Yet this object displayed a tail pointing towards the very thing that should have been pushing the material outward, the sun itself. Loeb, upon examining this phenomenon, speculated that the anti-tail might not be the result of solar radiation or a natural process at all. Rather than a simple outgassing event, he proposed that the anti-tail could be an indicator of something much more extraordinary: mechanical propulsion. Loeb theorized that the object's path and the material being ejected could be actively directed in such a way that it counteracted the forces usually acting on it. The alignment of the anti-tail suggested that 3I Atlas was not simply drifting through space, responding passively to natural forces. Instead, it might have been purposefully directed, as though some unseen force or technology was actively guiding the object toward the sun. This led Loeb to conclude that 3I Atlas wasn't just another comet from a distant star system, but rather potentially a deliberately engineered object. The implications of this anti-tail were profound. In traditional astrophysics, comets are natural phenomena with behavior that fits within the framework of orbital mechanics and the laws of physics. But if 3I Atlas's anti-tail was indeed an intentional product of some form of propulsion technology, then this would point to the object being artificial, not natural. This theory pushed Loeb further into the possibility that 3I Atlas might not be a comet at all, but rather an interstellar probe or some other kind of technological object. In the absence of any other logical explanation, Loeb's hypothesis gained momentum among those open to the idea that the universe might not be as empty and alien as we once thought. Perhaps the most compelling piece of evidence that supported Loeb's increasingly radical hypothesis was the brightness pulse exhibited by 3I Atlas. Over a period of 16 hours, the object's brightness fluctuated in a regular and repeating cycle. This kind of variability is not typical for comets, whose brightness is usually influenced by unpredictable events like the release of gas or dust. A comet's brightness can change sporadically depending on the composition of the surface, its angle to the sun, or the amount of volatile material sublimating from its surface. However, the changes in brightness that Loeb observed were consistent and predictable. There was an unmistakable pattern, one that resembled the kind of mechanical pulse a machine might produce. For Loeb, this pulse was more than just a fluctuation in light. The regularity and precision of the cycle were too exact to be explained by natural processes alone. In a comet, the brightness would vary in a more chaotic fashion, influenced by unpredictable factors such as rotation, solar wind, and outgassing. But 3I Atlas exhibited a pattern that resembled the operation of a mechanical clock. It was as though the object was operating on a schedule, a 16-hour cycle of light and dark that seemed to repeat with unerring consistency. This kind of behavior was far more aligned with that of a man-made or alien machine than a natural celestial body. Loeb pointed out that this kind of regularity is something one might expect from a device with an internal clock or mechanism. If 3I Atlas were a probe sent from another civilization, it could be powered by a mechanism that allowed it to function in a predictable manner, one that is not subject to the chaotic processes of outgassing and rotation typical of comets. The fact that the brightness pulse was so precise suggested that it was the result of an engineered system, one with an internal process or purpose, rather than the random behavior of a natural object. Such regular pulses of brightness have been associated with artificial objects before. For example, many human-made satellites and spacecraft exhibit cyclical patterns in their light curves due to their mechanical components, such as solar panels or rotational motion. Loeb suggested that 3I Atlas might be exhibiting similar characteristics, behaving less like a simple comet and more like a deliberately constructed probe designed to function over long periods of time. The pulse could, in theory, be related to some internal system that generates or amplifies light, possibly for communication or propulsion purposes. The idea that 3I Atlas was designed with a mechanical function at its core was a compelling theory, and the brightness pulse was a critical piece of evidence in supporting Loeb's broader hypothesis of an extraterrestrial origin. The pulse, combined with the anti-tail and the symmetry of the jets, made it increasingly difficult for Loeb to dismiss the possibility that 3I Atlas was something far more than just a comet. To Loeb, the regularity of the pulse didn't just defy natural explanation, it was proof that the object was intentionally designed. Whether it was a self-propelled spacecraft, a research probe, or something more complex, the signs were clear. 3I Atlas was not behaving like anything that had been seen in our solar system before. The more Loeb examined the data, the more he became convinced that 3I Atlas wasn't a natural comet at all, but rather a deliberate creation, an object that was sending a message or perhaps gathering information from the farthest reaches of the universe.
Loeb's theories, while groundbreaking, have not been universally accepted. Many scientists continue to argue that 3I Atlas could still be a natural comet, albeit one with some highly unusual properties. They point out that while the object's behavior is strange, it is not entirely impossible for natural processes to create such effects. Some have suggested that 3I Atlas might be a fragment of a larger, broken object, or that it could be composed of materials that we have yet to fully understand. Others have pointed to the possibility that the object's strange characteristics could be the result of a rare and unexplained combination of physical phenomena. Despite these alternative explanations, Loeb's theory of 3I Atlas as an alien artifact has gained considerable attention, especially after the object's surprising alignment and the Hubble image. The implications of such a theory are nothing short of staggering. If 3I Atlas is indeed a piece of extraterrestrial technology, it would be the first evidence of an alien civilization reaching out to us, or perhaps even studying us from afar. Such a discovery would change the course of human history, forcing us to reconsider our place in the universe. Loeb's work is not just about 3I Atlas. His broader theory suggests that interstellar objects like 3I Atlas and Oumuamua may be more common than we realize. The universe is vast, and if other civilizations exist out there, it is entirely possible that they have sent probes into deep space, objects like 3I Atlas that drift through the stars, perhaps waiting to be discovered. Loeb's hypothesis raises the possibility that we are on the verge of a new era in space exploration, one where we no longer look up at the stars wondering if we are alone, but instead look for the signs that other civilizations may have left behind.